Alright guys, this is part 2 of the 700R4 rebuild, and on this video we're going to go through the building process, and we're going to go through some things that we're going to do a little bit different. First we're going to start with bushings, how to remove and install bushings on the transmission, starting with the bushing in the case, bushing in the pump. I got the reverse drum and some other parts in the parts washer right now. You can hear it in the background. It's washing parts. And I got my fan back there. Okay, my machine just turned off. The fan is behind me right now, but it's really, really hot, so I got it on. I got a mic on, but I mean, you will hear the fan, you know, in the background as well. And it is what it is. So I have everything laid out, most of it laid out. I have the overhaul kit. If you have an ATSG, just don't mind the sticker I got here. But if you have an ATSG book, if you don't have it, buy it. If you have it, that's fine. I'm just going to show you one thing off the book and just give you my opinion on it. And that's about it on this book. I have a 4L60E drum over here that I took apart because we're going to use some stuff off of this for the 700R4 build. Frictions are draining. I already had them soaked. I got the Red Eagles and coiling for 3/4. That's what we're gonna do. I got a junior transgo shift kit, band. We got all the bushings for it. The filter, paper rubber rings and seals. Now the sunshell and the pump slide. As you guys already know, the shipping wars or whatever, shipping materials are being delayed and parts are getting scarce and hard to find. So I have a pump slide kit here for 4L60E. It's a 13 vane rotor pump slide. But the sunshell, I'm going to have to use the Beast sunshell that I have because they're on back order. The good thing is that the reverse drum is good. The reverse drum is also on back order. So there are some items that are in back order. Oh, the low reverse sprag is on back order. We're going to have to reuse the same one as you saw in video 1. You know, it's in good shape, but I just like to put a Borg Warner, you know, low reverse roller clutch. No, it's not a sprag, it's a roller clutch or one-way clutch on the center support, you know, the low reverse. But unfortunately, it's not available for the moment, you know, for the time that I'm building this unit. Some parts become available and then everybody buys them, and because there's cars now. But yeah, the first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna remove the case bushing. That's gonna be my step 1. Bushings first, then we're gonna align everything on the bench. We're gonna go through it. I have my valve body bolts and all the bolts, you know, arranged over here, which I never do. I just grab it from the pile. But for the purpose of this video, I'm gonna, you know, I have them arranged already on that shop towel there. And when you're building for production or whatever, I mean, you know exactly where everything goes. You have it in a basket, and you just grab bolts and whatever you, I mean, because you know what you're doing. Other thing, governor gear, I couldn't get. That's a good governor gear, but we're still going to go through that governor and take the valve out, carefully remove the roll pin, and hopefully the governor gear does not break while we take it apart. Take the governor valve out, run the bench buddy in there, you know, kind of like with a, not Scotch-Brite, yeah, with Scotch-Brite, not sandpaper, you know, kind of clean the valve a little bit and kind of like polish it a little bit, put it back in the bore, install the shift kit, and let's rock and roll, man. Let's rock and roll. All right, well, I'm going to put you on pause. I'm going to get everything set up together. I'm going to get the parts from the cooker that are already done. As you can, if you heard, my machine turned off. So I'm going to get the rest of the stuff, arrange them over here. Let's get started, man. Accidentally, this clip had no audio, but here I'm going to replace the case bushing. I'm getting my bushing driver. And it's my number 36 bushing driver, and we're gonna go from the back of the case to the inside of the case, and we're gonna push it out. To install it, we're gonna install it from the inside because of the governor guide pin that you see there. We cannot install the bushing through here, and I'm going to explain to you the way the bushing looks and my preference on installing the case bushing itself. So we used our bushing driver here, and our bushing is already out, and we're going to flip this case over and install our bushing. And right now I'm gathering the bushing. So the bushing, we're going to install it from the inside, but as you see here, there's a spot where there is a lot of bushing material, and that bushing material, I'm going to use it towards the bottom of the case to the 6 o'clock position. Okay, so here I'm showing the bushing and the ID marks that he has, and actually those are kind of like little doorways for the fluid to go on that groove. Right now I'm showing the piece of the side of the bushing that has a lot of meat on it. I usually like to use that on the 6 o'clock position or towards the bottom of the pan. And the notches, either you can go forward or you can go out. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I mean, I usually put them to the inside, like I'm showing here. It's the same way both ways. And the reason I do it from the inside is it has more fluid on the inside of the barrel of the case than on the outside. And then the meatiest portion of the bushing, when there is no groove, I put it on the 6 o'clock position. As you know, I mean, bushings, they float over a thin film of fluid, transmission fluid, just like engine cam bearings and crank bearings ride. And but anyways, you know, the weight of the gear train and that thing spinning, it creates a lot of side load or down load. You know, the metal pieces are heavy, so I always position it to the 6 o'clock position, as you see there. Now I don't have a long handle for this, so I use an E4OD or 4R100 input shaft as a hammer, as you're going to see here. And I just hammer that thing, tap it in first, and hold my bushing driver, and just go a little bit below flush. And this is not like the Turbo 350s that there's a certain depth that you have to go because the output bearing has a lip, and this one doesn't. This bearing on the output does not have a lip. So just go below flush. There is a little taper there on the edge, and you just want to be below that. So this audio had no clip. That's why I'm doing a voiceover on this. Accidentally, I have my mic off. But there it is. There it is installed. And I am explaining something. I forgot what I was saying. And for some reason, I hate to do voiceovers like that because I'm trying to explain something very important and I can't remember what I was saying. But anyways, as you see there, the meatiest portion of the bushing goes towards the 6 o'clock position. And I'm talking about the bushings that we didn't get, not all of them we had. And on the next clip, I'll explain that. Okay, so I was trying to explain what was going on with the bushing, removal of the bushing and installation. I showed the tool, and accidentally, it was recording. I clicked the non-record button while I was explaining, and when I clicked pause, this is what came out. So I'm just going to leave this clip on, and I'm kind of fixing my tool there because it was kind of nicked a little bit. But I talked about that case bushing. I mean, not the case bushing, but the sun gear extra wide bushing. And now we're going to go to the next clip and talk a little bit more about the bushings. All right, guys. Unfortunately, because trying to set up the tripod here and there, a couple of problems arise. There's two clips where I removed the bushing from the case, and a clip where I installed the bushing on the case. There was no audio there. And when I moved the camera over here and I was explaining, you know, about my bushing situations and, you know, how to remove the bushing and all that, it was not recording. And when I put it on pause to go get my tool to fix my driver, actually recorded when I was fixing my tool. But anyways, this was nicked, and I am gonna add that clip. You know, the clip that I thought it was paused, but it was actually recording. But let me rerun or repeat whatever I was explaining. This is a bushing cutter. You can get this from Snap-on. This is a blue point. The part number is faded away, so I don't have the part number, but if you have a Snap-on tool guy, you know this is what it looks like. This is, you get this from Snap-on tools. Of course, you got a hammer, and you got the bushing installation, and I think I need to do a little bit more work on this thing because it got nicked a little bit, and it's kind of hard. It wasn't going in, but it still needs a little work. Anyways, this is the Sonex bushing. This is extra wide Sonex bushing, as you can see there, for the sun gear. Only one bushing came for the forward sun gear, and this is the reverse sun gear. I got my bushing drivers here. I got the bushing for the extension housing bushing. Bushing for the pump, of course. This is the old bushing of the sun gear, and I showed how to, on that clip that I thought I was recording, I showed how to remove it, but I'm going to show you how to remove it on another part. I have the two forward Planetary hub bushings, and of course both front and rear Stator bushings. I moved to this bench to do this. I was going to do it on the other bench, but I got my fan going over there. It's extremely hot, so for audio purposes I moved over here, and unfortunately because of audio purposes I misrecorded, or I didn't record what I was supposed to, and I did record what I was not supposed to. Anyways, let's go ahead and I explained that I used a little bit larger bushing driver just to get this bushing started. Once I get it started, then I use the right size, because I've had that issue where you get it started with the bushing and it blossoms a little bit and it ruins your bushing. So I use a little bit wider. I'm going to go to the edge of the bench. I know I've got my bolts already set up here. You know, they're going to start jumping around, but this is how you install the bushing. So I got it started. I'm going to get the proper size bushing driver, and I'm going to go all the way down. It's easier to take it to a shop press if you have one, but as you can see, it's an extra wide bushing. It's an extra wide, and it gives you more support on here. Wow, this thing's sharp. Pour out my glove. Anyways, if you have an issue where the bushing is getting a little tight, hold on just 1 second. Yeah, man, make some noise. Alright, get a small little hammer and just mold it like that. You're not going to hurt anything. You're doing it where there's no splines. Just like that, just tap it. See how nice it goes in and out? Nice and easy. And the reason why that happens is when you have your bushing driver, it kind of nicks it a little bit. Or you can just get your knife and just deburr or de-ridge, whatever you want to do. I mean, whatever's best for you. Alright, so now that we installed one bushing, because I know one of you guys, or not one of you, a lot of you guys wanted to know how to remove and install a bushing. So this little section right here is going to be for removal and installation of bushings. Just because only one bushing made it here, just one, we're only going to install the one that's on the gear itself and not where the input sprague goes, because this has a little bit more torsion inside the Planetary gear. So this is my Stator bushing. That's my Stator bushing. You guys get over there. Now let's go ahead and remove this. Now, with time and use, this would become shorter and shorter and shorter the more you sharpen it. So they do have warranty, but I mean, once you wear it out, just buy another one. Just catch the edge, And if you can find the opening of the bushing, which is sometimes hard to see, it'll make it a lot easier to remove it. There we go. We just remove it, and when I'm talking about the bushing opening, as you can see those wiggly lines right there, that's where the two are met together and folded together. The same thing applies to this. I'm going to use this larger one just to get it started. Just to get it started. Now we're going to get this one. I like to go out on the shop brace, honestly. There we go. Just far enough to where it was. Now let me get the output shaft. Here's the output shaft. Just test it on there. If you feel a little tight, then you do the same as I did with the forward sun gear. So it's good. Here's my output shaft, the bushing for this. Let's go ahead and do these two bushings, and the same thing applies here. If you can find the opening, if you can't see it, oh well, just do it anywhere. And as you can see, or what you saw, I was close to it, and it's way easier to remove it if you can find the opening. Let's go ahead and remove the other side. And it looks like it might be there. I mean, you'll see some nicks on the bushing. It's just a rough calculation. I usually do this towards me because, I mean, of the way I do things, but since I'm doing it for the camera, it just becomes a little bit more difficult. And here I was right at the fold. All right, well, let's install these ones. We're gonna do the same thing, use a larger one, just to get it. I need to fix that again. Just to get it started. This one, get the proper size one, and we're just going to drive it far enough to where it was. There's a little taper, and you want to be below that taper. So you just tap it there, and that looks good. We're going to get the front planet, and we're going to check for fitness. We're going to install. There we go. He goes in. That bushing rides right here. Alright. Now let's go ahead and install this. Same operation. Get a larger one. It's flush. Now let's get the right size. Always just tap and check, tap and check. It's going to be right in the middle. You want it right in the middle because you have these. You don't want to cover none of these two holes on the output shaft. So as you can see, it's right in the center. Let's go ahead and test fit our bushing. As you can see, it's a little tight, so we're just going to tap it a little bit. Tap it, that's it. Tap, tap, tap. You're molding your bushing to your working area of the part. Alright, so we got this done. Get this out of the way. Let's do our stator bushings. Stator bushings are really, really important. I cannot stress that enough. So right here, as you can see, that's why it's called a bushing cutter. We just cut it away. And here is the piece that we just cut. So whenever you get on your own snap-on truck, if you're a DIY or go to a shop or whatever and ask them where the snap-on truck shows every week, and they'll tell you. I like this little hammer. It's got more precision. You can see the fold or the opening or whatever they mix together, both halves. Now what I do on this situation, so I don't damage my my stator in there, I just get the tool like this and I just drag it out like this. Voila, it's out. All right, and I did not bring the drivers for this. So hold that thought real quick. Alright, bushing driver for the stator bushing rear, bushing driver handle, and as you can see the taper right there, 700 R4s have this taper. It's taper. 4L60s don't have it. The 700 R4 bushing is not as wide as the 4L60E. They are a little bit different. Always run your fingers. And I see a little bit of imperfections, or feel it around it. If you do, get your tool. I have this. Wherever you see something, clean it up. You're going to see that a lot when you remove this bushing, so you're going to need one of those tools there. Like carbide bit or whatever that thing is called. Okay, yeah, let's keep the blow gun there. Let's go ahead and install this bushing. There we go. Let's go ahead and bring the input drum. Uh-oh, something fell. Something fell, man. Alright, let's get our stator. There we go. Now we need to install the other bushing. Stator bushing front. We just installed the stator bushing rear. Just fit it. There you go. Alright, we're moving from reverse drum bushings. These two right here. Let's go ahead and get our, this is number 37. I think Snap-on sells a bushing driver set, like 1,100 bucks. I'm not sure if these are available, because I've had these for more than 20 years. So it was from an 8-tick trans tool or something like that. Alright. A little more. You see that taper on the drum? You want to be below that taper on the drum. Alright, so we got that removed. Now this one, you can find, I think it's right there. You're going to go this way. I'll put it against my body because the beer belly works good. say in Spanish. So you fold it like this, and then you go from the opposite side. Now on camera it's going to be, I usually just position it like that on my beer belly and just boom, down. But for camera purposes, I'm going to use this angle, which is very uncomfortable for me because I'm trying to hold the drum and the tool with one hand and the hammer with the other. It will come out. It will comply. There we go. Yeah, buddy. Now run your finger all the way around. And this one looks in very, very good shape. But when you remove bushes like that from factory, you're going to see some nicks that are raised up. You got to level them down. This one is nice and smooth all the way around. You can see right there. Now, I don't know what's going on with the bushing manufacturers, but back then they used to machine a taper on this bushing right here, on the reverse drum bushing front. They're not doing that no more. They're very, very little as you see here, and this one doesn't have no taper at all. If you want to taper it with the carbide tool, you can do that, but I would just resize the rings real good, and you'll go in. Now, this one, I just use a large one and just drive it home. There you go. You're going to hear it bottom out. So there it is. Now I'm going to put a little bit of assembly lube on this thing. Those two bushings right here, I have no sealing rings. If you have a 4L60E, they have the sealing rings that are one piece, and 700 R4s, they are cut, angle cut. So we test it. There we go. How to install bushings. As a matter of fact, I'm going to cut this little section, and I'm going to do it's going to be part of this part 2 whole video, but I think I'm going to cut this bushing section for make a little standalone video for the ones that just want to watch this part. They don't have to watch the whole video. Alright, so I get just the regular screwdriver, or you can use this, bushing cutter, whatever you want to use, and I put it against my body. Like I fold it in. I don't go down, and then I go from behind the seal. There we go. Comes out. The reason I don't go down because I don't want to make a mark going down. Hold on right there, man. So I see that they put it looks like that 3M adhesive. So we're just going to clean the surface area up. That's good. That is good. Should I wait until, yeah, I think I'm going to wait until the compressor shuts off. Making a bunch of noise over there. I don't want to pause it, I don't want to make that mistake again. Come on now, finish. Alright. Just rearrange the bolts again. voiceover, so I think my voice will come out clear. I'm not sure. I don't want to risk it. There we go. Now it just shut off. All right. So this is our pump bushing. Get our 37, and we drive it from the inside out. And they came out real easy. Now, on early 700 R4s, 83 to 86, I believe, the return feed hole is really, really small, and you have to enlarge it. And on this particular pump, it has already been enlarged. The problem that they were causing was they used to pop the front seal out. That's why they came out with this retainer. So this is our front seal retainer that retains, it kind of holds the front seal in place for it not to pop out. So you put a retainer, you install a retainer like that, and you enlarge this hole on the 83 to 86, I believe. Maybe just the 83 to 85. I don't remember exactly, but it had a real small return right there. And when the bushing wears, it creates a lot of back pressure in between the seal and the bushing, and it used to pop it out. So you want a good drain, and you would enlarge this one too, and then you would enlarge, where's it at? That hole right there as well. With the same drill bit, you would enlarge that hole, which is the exhaust, and this hole. All right, pump bushing, get over here. It's a Teflon bushing. You can use Babbitt, Teflon, whatever's available these days. I just go far enough, and then I get my, which is, that's 42, I think here. And then, this is the same size as the outer diameter where the rotor guide goes. So the rotor guide centers on that thing. So I use the same size as the rotor guide, and I'm going to push my bushing flush with that. As you can see, once everything starts jumping, you're flush. See that? That gives us enough room for our rotor guide to center itself. Alright, this little clip is a good demonstration on installation of bushings. I gotta do this, but I mean, you get the idea. That's the way I do it. That's the way 90% of the builders do it. Whoever replaces bushings, there's a lot of builders that don't like to do that because, as you saw, it took a little bit of time to do, and sometimes your bushing will go crooked, and it's a very frustration for somebody that does not have the patience and the practice, you know, to remove and install the bushing. So there we go. All right, let's move on to the next thing. All right, guys, I turned my fan off. On this section of the video, we're going to install everything that's rubber, all the leaf cut seals, lip seals, which is not very many. We're going to do this right quick, and then we're going to assemble the back half of the transmission. I'm not going to use that sunshell. I'm going to use that piece sunshell that I have, even though there's absolutely nothing wrong with this sunshell, and I prefer to use this than an aftermarket one, but I have a beast, and let's upgrade it with that. All right. Get that out of here. We have our center support here. Okay. Low reverse piston takes 3 seals. These are squared leaf cut or lathe cut, whatever you want to call that. Install one. Install the other, or the outer one, and then it takes one on the inside. Where's that one at? Where's that one at? Where you at? It's the... Where is that? Oh, here it is, right here. The inner one. install the 3 seals that go here. Now, I know that you're already noticing that I have two, one number 6 and one number 4. I mean, one number 7 and one number 4. I have a 4L60 third clutch molded piston, and then I have the regular 700 R4 apply piston. So this is the third clutch, forward clutch, and coast clutch or overrun. All right, so let's do the third clutch piston. It's a lip seal. Put it in the groove. And the lip goes down. Remember, the pressure comes from the inside of the piston. You want that to blossom, or the seal to seal, and to push the piston forward. As you can see here on the piston itself, this area on your right, which is my left, is machined a little bit lower than the area on your right or your left, which is my right. And that's the space that it needs for the lip of the lip seal. Where's it at? Here it is, right here. Don't make the mistake to install your lip seal backwards like this. You're going to have a hard time installing it anyways in the drum. I don't think it would go in, but I don't know. I mean, you never know. Somebody might have already tried this, and then you have no third gear. So the lip seal goes down like this. The lips go where the fluid is going to go to push the piston to compress the clutch pack. All right, so this is third clutch. Put that to the side. Forward clutch piston. Same operation. We get the inner lip. We get the inner lip on it. Forward clutch. Install our lip seal on the forward clutch, like so. Just make sure. I would like to go like this with my fingers, you know, all the way around, just to make sure that it's seated all the way in. You have a feel for it. Put that in the groove like that, and have a feel for it. There we got 3 pistons. Reverse clutch piston. There's 2 sizes of lip seals that come in the overhaul kit. This is the metal type piston. It's smaller, as you can see. The piston is smaller. This is the early style, and this being 88 to 90, 87 to 93, it has the larger one. Let's install this. Make sure it's properly installed. And let's do the inner one as well. There we go. And have a feel for it. Make sure it's properly seated. So there we go. We got all of our pistons. We have our reverse, closed or overrun, forward, 3/4, and our low reverse. Now they came out on camera. All right. All right, guys. Well, let's go ahead and start lubing everything up. Well, as a matter of fact, let me push this over there because I noticed that they're not coming on the camera, on the picture. Let's see. Let's go down a little bit. There we go. Right there. Right there. Now you can see. All right. So you get your assembly lube. I like to use the blue one, and when it's nice and hot, it goes on very, very good, easily, like that. Just make sure, and we're going to lube up both areas. So we're lubing up the rubber portion of it, and then we're going to lube up where it lives. Make sure it's properly nice and lubed. Don't be shy with it. That's your low reverse. We're going to do the same thing with the lip. And I like to go in between the lip and the piston, and of course the outside. Make that like so. Just like Bob Ross. Use your brush like Bob Ross does. Alright. There you go. Get it nice and lubed. You don't want no issues with it. You don't want to tear up that seal. Same application for the inner seal. And when you have practice, I mean, this goes faster than quickly. So next thing you know, you already have your transmission built. So practice makes perfect. I guess that holds true. Same thing. It's not that I'm boring you or anything, but I mean, it is what it is. You got to do all this. Everything has to be nice and clean, nice and lubed up. All right, I think we're ready to assemble the rest of the stuff. I'm going to get the washers and the bearings here and start like a pre-assembly of the sub-assemblies, and we go from there. All right, guys, well, let's go ahead and start this. Now, for this portion of the video, I'm going to use my green assembly lube, and let's talk a little bit about this. I mean, if this is the first video that you've seen of my videos, I use the blue one for my rubber, and I use the green one for pasting washers and bearings. All right, so let's go ahead and get this started. So what I do, I just get a little bit of the green assembly lube. This goes on the rear planet. Paste it on there. The rear planet ring gear takes this bearing. You're going to have two bearings that are exactly the same on a 700. You paste that on there, and you pre-assemble this as so. We paste this on the inside of our beast sunshell. Just put some dabs on there. Goes in there like that. On the back side of it, the sunshell, the beast sunshell is different because they added some material around this area. That's what makes it the beast. Right there. Now, I took this off of a transmission that was known good because we upgraded it. It was working perfect. That's why I have the set of Planet gears and everything for it, because we did a 5-pinion Planet set. We put the smart shell on it. We put the Sonex input drum, Sonex output shaft, super servo for second and fourth. I mean, we did a performance build, and so these parts were left over. That's why I'm going to use this on, because I have it. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. So, it's different. The washer goes in the back, not like the regular sunshell. It goes on the center support itself. You see it has 4 round tabs on it, and the sunshell has 4 round holes. You paste it on there. And on this type, or the original one, of course, you put your 4-tab washer in there, and then there's nothing behind it because this 4-tab washer sits on the center support itself. So this washer is no longer needed when you're installing a beast sunshell, because it comes with that. And that plastic washer is going to ride on this area here. All right, so we got this pasted. Now, these right here, until we assemble the drum, we're going to go ahead and do that. Let me get my from Planet sun gear. So I had this pre-assembled on the other bench because, I mean, we were doing the bushing installation, as you saw. And as you see here, this bearing is the same as the one on the rear Planet. Paste it on there. Assemble it. So we are pre-assembling this. This is what it's going to look like inside the transmission. Just make sure that's all the way down. And my sun gear, where's my sun gear at? Here it is. So we already have this pre-molded, the bushing. Just pre-lube it. And this is going to go here. Then your sunshell. Then your forward planetary hub. And your front Planet. And your sun gear. Forward Planet sun gear. We're going to go ahead and assemble this section. And then this goes on the case. This goes underneath. And we're going to assemble this as it is, like this. And then the output shaft through the rear on the case. And then we're going to go assemble the front, which is going to be all the pistons and all the both drums. And lastly, we're going to do the pump. So let's go ahead and lube this up. This is the forward clutch piston retainer. And we're going to get to this portion of the video. It's going to be kind of interesting to see how we're going to make that thing work like that. 700 with 4 L60 parts, and we're going to do a combination because I want to fit 9 frictions. These are the Red Eagles and the coiling steels. I have new pressure plates, and I have some other different thicknesses. Let's see if we can put 9 in it. I mean, sometimes it's not possible. You can get only 7, or sometimes you can get 8 of them in there. All right, so let's install our forward piston. Now, I always use a pick. And you can use your feeler gauge or whatever you have. I always use a little pick, but I have it, sitting on the bench like this. And then I just help the lip go down like that. Not sure if you guys can see that, but I mean, I wanted to get it closer to the camera, but that's as close as we're going to get. Now let's go ahead and pre-lube the inside of the piston. And we can install this here, which this is just going to be temporarily because we're going to have to take it off anyways. So with this, we use a lip seal installer tool or a feeler gauge. And this is the number 4. This is what came originally on this transmission. This goes there. And then this will sit like this. Then you have your return spring. And then your snap ring. This goes inside to the input drum. So this goes down here. And this is how it's going to be assembled inside the drum. Like that. Put that to the side. This is a number 7. A number 7, it's a little different. It's a different height. All right, where's my reverse drum? Let's go ahead and assemble the reverse drum. So we already installed bushings on the reverse drum. Let's go ahead and loop the inner areas. Put that to the side. So let's just loop this thing up. Like so. All right. We use a lip seal installer tool or feeler gauge. We go around this like this, and this is just helping the lip seal kind of close in the edge for the piston to drop down. It's not going to drop down because I need to put a little bit of pressure on it. So now it on this side it hasn't gone in yet. You have to help it. I don't think I'm going to be able to do it with one hand like this. I usually hold it and then I go around it. And it'll fall. It'll fall. You put a little bit of pressure on it. There we go. Now it's all the way in. You put a little bit of pressure on it and it'll go down. Then our return spring. Should I take you to the press or no? I'm going to go ahead and use this tool. I usually go to the press and boop, pop it right in. But just because I don't want to move the camera over there, we're going to use this tool. It's a clutch spring compressor. If you want to know what it's called. And I don't like it because he has too many legs. So I'm going to go ahead and just put two to the outside so I can get my snap ring in there. Or I can get my hands in there, in other words. I would have gotten that in already with the foot press. We'll get the wrench. Where you at? Where you at? It's 21, I think it was. All right. Just make sure that your return spring does not get caught up on the snap ring groove, which in this case it did. And if it does, kind of help it so it won't get caught up on there. So I went another half a turn. And now you can see the groove, snap ring groove. Now this is why I don't like to use this tool here, because I can barely get my hands on it. And I have to use pliers to get it in there. And when I'm on the foot press, I don't need no pliers. I just put it by hand. Alright, well, let's see. Let's get it in. Input drum, I'm going to go to the foot press. I'm going to take you guys over there. Or bring the foot press over here. See, I'm struggling with this thing. I can't use this, man. Come on now. Behave. Behave. It ain't gonna happen, man. All right. Success. Alright, so we got our snap ring in. I don't recommend this tool for this drum. This tool has its place. It's awesome. It's an awesome tool. But for speed purposes, I like my foot press. Whatever I can do on the foot press, I do on the foot press. Alright, so we got that done. Let's get this thing out of here, out of the way. Alright, so we got our frictions already pre-lubed. Where's my steels? Right here. Let's get our... They have been soaked and drained already. So we got 4 reverse frictions. So you go 1 clutch, 1 steel, 1 clutch, 1 steel. And then you have your wavy in the bottom, or your cushion plate. And you start with the cushion plate. And this goes with the dish up like this. It does not go like this. If you install it like this, it's backwards. You have to install it like this. This is the way it lives in there. Upside down like that. Steel, clutch, steel, clutch, steel, clutch, steel, clutch, backing plate. Install our snap ring. There we go. This is done. Let's assemble our sprag assembly. Dual cage sprag. It has a lip on it, or an ID lip. This goes towards the front of the race. So what I do, I pre-install it on the outer race. Get one of the caps in here, and then I just rotate like this, and it falls in. You hold the center, and it goes counterclockwise. You put your fingers inside the inner race, and it turns clockwise, like this. If you do this, it turns clockwise, right? So I always do it from where the big cap is at. That's the way I check it. It freewheels to the left and locks to the clock. Get your other cap on. Get the lip crown. Remember part one, I always put my snap ring here so I won't lose it. Put our cap on. There we go. Freewheels counterclockwise and locks to the clock. Our sprag assembly is built. Now all we got to do is just assemble our input drum. But before we do that, we're going to go to the transmission over here, and we're going to install these components in there. All of these components in there. And the output shaft. What did I do with the output shaft? Oh, I left it over there. Install that in the bench, and then we come back, and that's going to be very interesting, doing the, and the low reverse frictions. We're going to go with these components here, which are, see, I got regular 3-4 frictions, and then I got the 9 over here. So it's going to be a very interesting, see how we're going to put that together. 5 low reverse frictions and 1 wavy. And let's go put them on. Let's go install these components inside the barrel of the case. Alright, so here we are at the barrel of the case, and we're going to go ahead and lube up our case where our low reverse piston is going to work. Be sure that you're getting a good shot of it. So like I mentioned, you have to lube both where it's going to work and the rubber as well. Lube it up. I'm lubing up the bushing as well. I re-soaked my low reverse frictions again, which is not necessary. You just soak them once, and now we have to align this. I already have it down here, but let me show you. I forgot to mention that. See this tab right here? This tab goes here. So on the 9 o'clock position, well, actually it's on your 6 o'clock because I have you upside down, but the valve body is on this area right here, so the bottom of the transmission is here, and the way I'm looking at it is the 9 o'clock position. So you position your piston at the 9 o'clock position. Position that tab to the 9 o'clock, drop it, and you're going to feel it engage. You feel it engage, and because you're in the way, I'm going to have to tap it down. Usually it'll just push down. You bottomed out. You're in it. Now we're going to get our low reverse return spring and snap ring. Now we're going to install our snap ring using our low reverse clutch spring compressor. And I know this video is going to be kind of long, but hey, if you want to learn, you're going to have to watch the whole thing. See how my spring went sideways? So I'm using a long reach screwdriver, and I am just center it to where it goes through, and let it not catch on the snap ring groove. And if you feel like if it's getting snapped or trapped in there, just reposition it. There we go. It popped. I don't know if you heard that, but it was getting caught. Now we can further go down a little bit. Let's check it again. Let's make sure that we are past snap ring groove, and I think we are. Now we lower our snap ring, and this is what I do. I mean, there's different ways to do this. With my left hand, which is going to be on your right, I position the snap ring just enough so that I can get my long reach screwdriver on the opposite end, and then I push with my middle and my index finger, those two fingers, the snap ring, and I kind of get it positioned. I have the opening on the 12 o'clock position. Now I'm going to push down over here, and then I'm going to use this long reach screwdriver and get it down. Once I get it down to where I can see that it passes the ridge, then I can just make sure that the snap ring is fully seated on the snap ring groove, as you just saw right there. So I'm going with the screwdriver, kind of like pushing it in all the way around like that. You know, make sure that it's inside the groove before you take your tool out. All right, let's go ahead and take our tool out. All right, so let's get all of our pre-assembled components that we have over here on the bench. And the way now the purpose I assembled the rear section like that is to show you first how it's going to go. But now I have to kind of take it apart piece by piece, because now it needs to go. Now, I know there's some rust here. Don't worry about this. I mean, this is not a big deal. It's not fuzzy. But wherever your bushings or your washers or your working area, like the drum where the band goes, we're going to clean that up and get rid of all the rust and make sure that it has a nice little cut on the, or uncrystallize the surface where the band rides. That's the rear planet ring gear assembly, and this is our rear planetary assembly. See how I pasted the washer or the bearing on it? That's for ease of assembly. That's why it's called assembly lube. Now that we have our planetary gear in there, we're going to go with our low reverse frictions. As you can see, this one has a tab or a little mark on it. All the steels have it. This go on the 6 o'clock position down here. The steel as well has a little mark, and it goes to the 6 o'clock position, just like that. Just like that. You start with the wavy, then followed by a steel, then a friction plate or a clutch, and then a steel, clutch, steel. You end up with a clutch on top. It takes 5 friction plates or 5 clutches, and 5 steels, and 1 wavy. Now, I use Warner frictions because they are factory specification frictions. If you use any other brand or off-brand or the green weird looking friction plates, they are not made under specifications, And I tried to use those, and the clearance is always not right. And you get a clutch back, and if your friction plate's supposed to be 60,000, you have one with 68,000, another one with 70,000, and it just does not work for me. So I rather just save the headache. Did I just put the? Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. The anti-clunk spring goes on the 5 o'clock position. No. Yeah, on the 5 o'clock position. And if you see the way I installed it, I think you can see it. If I try to zoom in, I don't know why the lens goes sideways, but let's see. So there you go. That's the way it goes. Let me zoom out. Alright, let's go ahead and install our center support. And this is our center support, and then it has a wide area where there's no lugs that lugs into the case. And we see the large area on here. I'm going to use the long reach screwdriver to point. Let's use it as a pointer right here. And that's the way you're going to align it. So, here we go. We're going to drop it down. And just because you're in the way, it's going to be kind of hard for me to push down. But you push down on it. You push down on it, and it just... Where's my hammer? Yeah, I'm going to have to use my hammer because I can't push it the way it's set up over here. And for some reason, it's not going down the way I want for it to go. Let me see if I can grab it again. Usually I just do this, and the thing just falls down, but it's not doing that for me. There we go. It's supposed to fall like that by hand, and it is a little bit kind of like pushy because you have the anti-clunk spring there, so it's kind of doing some tension. As you see, my low reverse race went up, slid up. Just align it. Just align it with the planet like that, and push down like that. That's it. Now we're going to install our snap ring, and the snap ring opening has to be right here. Right here. You don't want the snap ring to be on top of the anti-clunk spring, because it'll pop it out. Now right now it's on top of it. I'm going to show you how to move it. Just hold that thought. See how it is see how it is on top of it? We do not want that. We don't want the snap ring to be on top of that. So I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to go to the 1 o'clock position, and I'm going to twist my screwdriver to walk the snap ring clockwise to get it off of there. It'll move. As you see, I'm going to get you closer. It already popped. I'm off of it. Now I'm on the 12 o'clock position, and I'm good right there. We're off. We're off of it. You don't want to be on top of this, because whenever this is flexing, it'll pop your snap ring out, and you're going to lose reverse or manual first braking, engine brake or whatever you call that. Zoom out. Next, our sun gear, rear planetary sun gear, followed by the shell. So engage the shell to the sun gear, front planetary ring gear and hub assembly, or front planetary. Now the output shaft, I usually have the transmission sideways, so just because I want to show you on camera, I'm not sure how I'm going to hold this output shaft and then install the snap ring, but let's give it a try. Let's give it a try. kind of like engage it on the splines. I need more. Usually you don't need to hit it, it'll just go right in. Now the snap ring, it has a taper to it. You want the taper to go down. This is gonna fall if I let it go. So the closer part of the snap ring, you want it on top. You want it on top because you want your snap ring pliers. Let me see if I can just hold it with my knee. Yeah, hold that with my knee like that. I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in a little bit. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna install it with a screwdriver. So same operation as the bottom one. I'm gonna get one end on it and just walk the snap ring around it with my screwdriver. And this is a very uncomfortable position here. Because I'm trying to show you guys, you can use some pliers to do this, but and I think my upward shaft walked out a little bit. Yeah, that's why. Yeah, that's why it wasn't going in. There we go. Now the snap ring is in. Alright. Now, our forward sun view. Like that. Now the rear of the transmission is already inside the barrel of the case, and what I do now is air check my low reverse. Let me bring my air over here. And just to make sure I don't have a seal for it. So you have your blowgun, your seal on it. There's no leak. The seal, the leak that you hear is it's actually my rubber tip. There is holding pressure. My rubber tip is the one that doesn't go into my blowgun properly. I have to push in to make a good seal. It's applied right there. There's no leak. I'm gonna let it go. There we go. He holds pretty good. That's what you want. You hear a little bit of air leak, find the problem. Find the problem and see what's going on. All right, I think we're getting ready for the fun part. Input drum. Let's get ourselves situated over here on the other side, and I hope I don't need to get into my toolbox because that's where I'm going to set up you guys, the camera tripod, and I'm going to turn the fan a little bit. I'm going to take a break and cool off a little bit, and we'll continue. Alright guys, well, we're going to assemble our drum now, and in one of the clips, you know, I had all this assembled like this because I just wanted to show you how everything's going to go together inside that drum. I also have the molded third clutch apply piston, but we're not going to use this. The dimensions for right here are the same, so we're not going to worry about trying to install this for our clearance purposes. We're just going to go ahead and use, you know, the original factory one. And now let's start assembling this drum. So you have these two items that are going to go first, and probably not going to see it, but there is a groove where this green O-ring goes. It goes right there, and this seals the forward clutch piston housing, and it separates the third clutch fluid it separates the third clutch fluid from the forward clutch fluid. And then we're going to install this seal. This is the rear lubrication seal, and you have a lube hole right here in this area right here. That's our lubrication hole that connects the front lube to the rear lube, and it goes inside through the output shaft, and it lubricates the rear section of the transmission. You know, on the previous clip you saw that we assembled the rear of the transmission. Okay, so let's go ahead and install our third clutch apply piston. But before we do that, we are going to lubricate our drum. So here I am lubricating where the coast clutch lip seal will ride, and then you lubricate or put some assembly lube on the where the forward clutch lip seal works. And now we're gonna, that green o-ring that we just installed, we're gonna put some assembly lube on it. That's what separates the fluid from the forward clutch to the direct clutch or third clutch. And now that we once we lubricate or lubed up our green o-ring, we're going to go ahead and lube up our drum, the external part of the drum, where the lip seal for third clutch comes or applies. We're going to go ahead and install our third apply piston. Half of it just fall in there, and I know that you're not seeing what I'm doing with the feeler gauge or the lip seal installer tool. I mean, this is a 10,000ths of an inch feeler gauge from Mac Tools, but I actually have a lip seal installer, and this is from Blue Point. It says transmission lip seal. That's all it says there, and it's a PRT21, and I mean, that's what it is. But I don't like to use this as much because it always breaks from here. So this one does have a little handle, and it's about the same thickness. And what I do, even though you get this one new, is sharp on the edges, you gotta use some sandpaper and round off all the sharpness of the blade. Same thing here. That's exactly what I did on this one as well. Get some sandpaper and round it off. You take the sharpness away from it, and it's not going to damage your lips. Okay, so now here is the fun part. So this is the number 4. This is the one. This is a little taller than the number 7. Number 7 is a little bit shorter. So we are going to install the number 7 because we're gonna try to install 9 frictions to see if we can manage to install 9 third clutch frictions. They're high performance racing frictions, and they are good for not just high performance, but for like towing and durability. I mean, that's the word that I was looking for. So this goes here. Now I know that I showed you the coast clutch piston, but we're going to install this piece as it is, like this. So what I do, I just set it down, and I'm holding the crown with my left hand, as you see there. I'm just holding it and floating it in air in there, and I'm going to run my feeler gauge or my lip seal tool and go around it like this. And then I'm just going to wiggle and push down. Work again your lip seal. Wiggle and push down while I'm still holding on to it so that it doesn't fall down. I don't want my retainer, my clutch retainer, separating from the piston. But as you see, it's already down there. So it's already installed. Let me use my left hand so you can see it. I mean, it's nice and springy because you have your return spring there. Now this is our coast clutch, and we do the same thing. So what I do, you have the snap ring groove on there, so just go a little bit around it so that it'll pass the snap ring groove. As you can see, it just fell down a little bit on one side. And now we're gonna work on the outer lip seal, and it's going down almost by itself. There we go. It's already down. Our return spring. Now I got my foot press over here close, so I can just turn the camera over and install our snap ring. I'm going to put you guys on hold right quick, turn you guys around, and install our snap ring. Okay, so I'm looking for the right angle, and it's actually no right angle that I can position this, so because you have this piece from the foot press, you know, in the way. But anyways, I have this big washer here that comes on the HD2 Transgo shift kits, and this is just a protector, or this washer is just like a protector so you won't bend the top of the or deform the top of the return spring cage. And you get your foot press and you get your feet on it. And now we're going to go ahead and press it. Just make sure that everything's installed properly. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Let's zoom it in. I know this is not quite a good angle, but I'm going to go ahead and press it down and use my pliers to install my snap ring. I know my hands are in the way, but there we go. It's not all the way down. There we go. Got one more side. Now it's on there, and just test it, and that's it. That's it for the spring installation, or the snap ring installation on the third clutch. Now the fun part begins. Let's go ahead and start try to measure the 3/4 clearance. We want 60 thousandths of an inch for our clutch pack clearance. I mean, the book calls for 60 to 80,000, but I think 80 thousandths is way too much, and I still think that 60,000 is a little bit too much. But anyways, that's just my personal opinion. But let's go ahead and try to get this as close as 60 thousandths as we can. Alright, so let's begin. So here I got my 9 frictions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 frictions. I got new pressure plate and new vacuum plate. Both of them new. Steels are black because they are coiling steels. They are performance steels. And let's go ahead and measure the thickness of the frictions that we're using. So I got my thing zeroed out, and it's 63.5 thousandths of an inch. That's what it shows here, but supposedly they're like 61 or 60. Well, this is 63 and a half. So that's our friction, and the steel is 60 thousandths of an inch. So we're using 60 thousandths steels and 63,000 frictions. All right. So our goal is 60 thousandths of an inch of clearance. And load springs, where did I put the load springs? Are they right here? Now, let me get the book. That's the one item off the book that I was going to share with you guys. So whenever you get your book, you know, your 700 R4 87 to 93, it says ATSG down here, page 77 on this book. ATSG recommends that you remove and discard the 3/4 load release spring assemblies shown above. All models. See that? All models for a much improved 2/3 shift and better 3/4 clutch durability. So that's from the book. So that's why when you disassemble a 4L60 or 700R4 transmission, some of them don't have the load release springs. Why? Because of the book, you know, and also a couple of years back, I want to say maybe 5 or 6 years ago, on one of the ATRA seminars, it was like a question, okay, so do we use them or do we not use them? You know, it's a builder preference. You know, on a high performance, high rev engine, I would use those things. And I would use those things as well on close tolerances below 60 thousandths of an inch. The problem then arises when you have your, where's the stock frictions? What did I do with them? I got them over here. So you have 6 frictions. 6 frictions, normal stock frictions, and the load springs, the cage itself, I think it's a little bit too tall. I mean, if somebody on the aftermarket, Sonex, I mean, or whoever, if you manufacture this cage a little bit lower over here, what happens is that when your frictions start getting worn, or you have excess clearance and you don't have enough capacity to compress the clutch pack, this is just my opinion, you end up compressing into the cage of the load release springs. And what that does, you know, frictions do wear just like your brake pads do. So there is no lifetime 100,000 transmissions. That's just a sales pitch for reman companies, you know, to sell you transmissions. I mean, there is no way you're gonna run your brake pads for 100,000 miles and still be like brand new. I mean, that's just this nonsense. Okay, so I just want to get that out there. So they will wear, and you have this in between here. Look at this. Look at how close it is. Look at how close it is to the friction. I mean, you got just the top of the friction almost the same height. So the top friction, the bottom part of this friction, and this being a 62,000 or 63,000 friction plate, once you wear one of these out, you're compressing into the cage of the load spring. If you can see the steel, I'm at the pressure plate or the backing plate. If you can see the steel, the first steel on the very top, the cage is actually higher than the steel itself. So I don't know, I mean, Sonex, Transgo, or Superior, if you can start manufacturing these a little bit lower with new springs, or with new springs, like this is a perfectly good spring. You know, actually this is a brand new load release spring, AC Delco. I got them out of the bag. It comes 1 per bag. You know, it's 5 bags that I got. So if you guys, the aftermarket, I'm talking to the aftermarket, Superior, you know, so Superior company or Sonex or whatever, just start making these cages with the springs. I mean, Sonex already sells the springs by themselves. So one of you guys have to get, you know, doing this, because on high rev applications, I mean, I would like to, this is just my opinion, I would like to use these springs. And for under 60,000, which a lot of people or a lot of builders do, you know, because you have less clearance, you know, and the clutch applies faster and quicker and it holds better. But if you have something like this in between in the way, actually, I mean, this is just going to cause failure. And it does cause this failure. But now back to the assembly of this drum. So this is just my opinion. That's why I said in the beginning of the video about the load release springs. A lot of people don't use them on a regular build, you know, on a regular truck or whatever, that you're not going to be performance or towing or whatever. I don't use those things. I mean, honestly, in this particular scenario, I am going to use them. They're brand new, AC Delco, you know, from General Motors. I am going to use it because I want to try to install 9 frictions, and I want to stay below 60 thousandths of an inch. So that's just my personal opinion. Let me look in the book and see where, yeah, it's right here on the same page, 77, on line 7 right here. Install the 3/4 clutch backing plate snap ring as shown in figure 138 using a screwdriver. Line number 8, 3/4 backing plate travel should be 60 to 80 thousandths of an inch. See figure 142, or no, 141, which is, where's figure 141? It's right here. And here's the 5 friction stack up that you will see like on S10s. 6 friction stack up, and then 6 friction stack up with thick steels. You have thin steels, and then you have thick steels, right? So it's 60 to 80 thousandths. I think 80 thousandths is a little bit way too much. You do 80 thousandths clearance, you ain't gonna be able to use these. I'm sorry to say this, but you're barely grabbing into the clutch pack. You're barely grabbing into a clutch pack. If you use this at 80,000, 60,000, I still think that it's too much with the load springs. So 60,000 is perfect without the load springs. 80,000, you're gonna run 80,000s, you better have them off. So this is just my opinion, and I'm a technical guy, I'm a technician, so I look at evidence, you know. Like, come on, man, you got to use common sense, and just like your brake pads, I mean, especially if you live in a city with a lot of traffic, you're on the brakes all the time. Stop and go, stop and go, stop and go. Same thing with the transmission. You're in traffic, you apply second, third, second, third, second, third, second, third, second, third. So every time the clutch, the piston tries to compress the friction, you have a little bit of slip before it grabs. So all that little slip, million times of friction applying and releasing, you're going to wear that clutch out. It's just common sense. And I know, I'm sorry to say that some reman companies, they do offer a lot of warranty, but you're going to, I mean, they're not going to last, 100,000 or a million miles or whatever. I mean, it's just nonsense. I got 2 snap rings here. One is thinner than the other. This is 94 thousandths of an inch. We're going to use the thin one. And this is 92 thousandths of an inch. So that's 92 and 94. Let's double check this. Yeah, 92. So you have, right now I'm a little bit above the snap ring groove. So putting the snap ring on, the clutches are going to be real tight. So yeah, there's nothing. I mean, I can barely. I don't have it in all the way, but you don't have to. But I mean, you got to be able to rotate them. You got to be able to for them to travel freely. So test number 1 on a 4L60, because the dimensions of the drums are different. 7/16 drum. This is not a 7/16 drum. I could have taken the shaft off and used this drum, but this drum is no good because the shaft was loose on the drum itself, and this is a 7/16 drum. And I put it together. I have oil here, and I checked it for leaks, but I did not use it. I had it together. The shaft came out real easy. I put some Loctite on it, and I'm pretty sure that this drum would work. But I'm not going to risk it. I'm not going to use this drum for anything. I mean, I just got the contents off of it, and we're using the number 7 crown off of it. But the dimensions of that drum, this clutch stack works perfectly on a 7/16 drum, as it is right there. 9 frictions and the 2 backing plates. All right. So let's start playing with frictions and steels. So I have here, this is a 4L65 7 friction clutch stack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm missing a steel. 3, 4, 5, 6. No, they're all here. So this is a 65, and they use 7 frictions on a 4L65s, like the GTOs, the Hummers, and some other vehicles that use the like the G8s. They use a 4L65. You have 7 frictions on the 3/4. So just because this is a 700 R4, let's try and fit it. I'm going to use 7 frictions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 frictions. 7 frictions. Let's go ahead and stack it in here. It says HD on the pressure plate, heavy duty. It's a 4L65. And you can see that the steels are even some type of coiling material. They are darker than normal. Let's go ahead and stack the 7 frictions and see what we're going to come up with. And then we're going to measure our clearance. I didn't measure the clearance on the 9 friction stack up because it was way too tight. They were not rotating. This make no sense to try to measure clearance on that. So now I am below the snap ring groove. This is going to work perfect right here. Now let's get the snap ring. This looks very promising. This looks very, very promising. Even though we're not going to use the coiling steels, but let's go ahead. Where's my screwdriver at? Because I am going to finish the stack up right quick. All right. So let's take this off and install our load springs and install our vacuum plate, and then we're going to measure the travel from the clutch. First we're going to use a feeler gauge, and then we're going to use this right here. All right, you can see the load springs. As a matter of fact, I'm going to take this friction out and I am going to zoom in. Let me see, zoom in. Let's zoom in some more. Let's go up a little bit. Hold that thought right there. Hold that thought right there. All right, let's zoom in some more. Right there. And I think it got a little blurry. Come on, man, focus, focus. Yeah, you don't want to focus. I think we're just too close. All right, anyways. I think you're close enough to see where my steel is at. And see the cage right there? It's above the steel. It's above the steel. So you have let's zero this thing out. I'm on millimeters, what the hell? Okay, zero this. Turned off. 62.5 thousandths of an inch friction. So half of that is half of the friction. It's half of the friction. So Transgo, Sonex, Superior transmission, come up with something, man. Because I mean, honestly, I would really like to use those. So right now the pressure plate is above the snap ring groove because the springs are having a little bit of tension on it. Let's go ahead and install our snap ring fully. And I have a feeler gauge. Zoom out a little bit. I have a feeler gauge with blades to make the 60,000 stack. And it's not going in, which is a good thing because we're aiming for under 60,000, but let's see here. Let's zero this thing out. Okay, so I'm going to be above the tooth of the okay, let me zoom out so you guys can see. Right there. So I'm zeroed out. I'm zeroed out right there. Let's see how much clearance do we have. I'm going to raise the whole clutch back up all the way to, we're at 52 thousandths of an inch. 52 thousandths. We're under 60 thousandths. That's the factory height on a 4L65E. As you see, we're using the 65 thickness of frictions, and we're using the 65 thickness of steels. So that's a 4L65 clutch stack up. It's under 60,000, so it does make sense to use the load spring on a tight clearance like this. 60 to 80,000, I think that's just above crazy, because you use the load springs on there above 60 thousandths of an inch. The clutches are not even going to apply. They're not going to hold. So that's just my personal opinion on what I've seen with these things over the years. And when you're building transmissions, I've been doing this year, 2021, it'll be 30 years me doing this right here, you know, rebuilding transmissions. I started in 1989, but I don't count that extra year because I was starting with it, you know. So I kind of put myself a couple of years below that. So yeah, I'm almost 30 years into this. And I use a lot of common sense. And that's what I want you guys to use, whoever you guys are. I mean, if you're a DIYer, I mean, I'm just giving you my personal professional opinion. But for you builders too, or builders that are starting, just use a lot of common sense. I mean, this thing is it's not rocket science. I mean, but it is what it is. Now we're going to disassemble everything here because we need to install our forward frictions and our coast frictions. And we are going to use the load springs. And I already explained to you why. All right. Should I get you closer over here? Yeah, I think I need to get you closer over here. Hold on. Hold that thought. Okay, so unfortunately, we're not going to use any of this. Unfortunately. We could have tried, and I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go that route. But actually, where's the bottom pieces of this original factory drum? I mean, I could have tried and used the 700 stuff. You know, the bottom steel. This bottom steel holds the little cages. And then you have this a spacer here. I could have tried and use this and try to make it work, but I'm not going to go that route. Not today. Let's just go ahead and finish assembling this thing. Alright, so there's our bearing. We got all of our frictions, Borg-Warner frictions. So we start with the coast steel. As you see, I mean, there's the Borg-Warner logo. Borg-Warner is factory. You don't have to do a lot of measurements, clearance checks, and all that stuff. If you use something else that is not Borg-Warner, okay, so I installed 2 frictions. Now this is the pressure plate for coast. Now we have followed by a wavy, followed by a forward steel, and now we're going to go ahead and install our sprag assembly. Forward frictions, also Borg-Warner. All of the frictions in this transmission are Borg-Warner. There's the Borg-Warner logo. That's my first choice. Second choice is Ray Bestis, and then whatever comes down the pipeline. Sometimes, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this is 2021, and there are some issues with getting the parts here. Everything comes from overseas. So It doesn't matter if it's a good brand or not. Everything comes from overseas. Now we install our backing plate. Friction, steel, friction, steel, friction, steel, friction, steel, friction, steel, friction, steel, friction, steel. So there you go, Superior. There you go, Sonex. There you go, Transgo. That's just my personal opinion. You see, we got nice clearance. They're loose on there. Actually, where's the load springs? Talking about the load springs. They're load release springs. They actually work pretty good. I mean, whenever you do a 3-2 kick down on a performance vehicle, it helps release, and then you use a rapid release check ball assembly, which I did not show, but there you go. The pressure plate, it's against the snap ring. You got freedom there. You got a lot of freedom. You want fluid in between those friction plates. All right, so there we go. So this is assembled. The spacer, and then this bearing goes like this, like that. Don't put it upside down. It'll fail almost immediately if you put it upside down. All right, so we use the 7, number 7. I forgot the name of this, but that number 7. We got rid of the number 4. The number 4 was going to be a little bit tighter. Okay, so we're going to cut the sealing rings off the input shaft so we can install new sealing rings on this thing. Alright, now we're going to use our ring expander tool. We're going to go all the way down. And here is our first groove for our sealing ring. Go down, kind of position it on the groove, and get your resizer and resize it. There you go. Now you install your tool again, and you go up a little bit until the next sealing ring groove. Slide it over, and position it on the groove itself. Kind of mold it together, get it inside the groove with your fingers, kind of like squeezing it back in shape so that your tool will go through it like that. Up to the next groove. Line it up pretty good on the groove. Get your tool. Last one. Resize it. There you go. Now, let's lube it up. Alright, it's ready to be installed in the case. I need to clean the surface where the band rides on the reverse drum, and then we're going to set it on top of here. Hold that thought. Alright, so now that we have our sealing rings resized, I went and cleaned my drum. I got all the little rust spots that were on there, and actually the rust spots were not where the band rides, but on the outside where the band applies. Where the band applied was nice and smooth, so I just got my 3M roll lock disc and some 320 sandpaper and after the roll lock disc, with the sandpaper, you go this way, like this. You know, where, you know, the same rotation where the drum rotates and the band applies. So now that we have that done, rings resized, we need to install or load our reverse drum into our input drum. And you wiggle until you get all the frictions lined up. Sometimes it goes like nothing down, and sometimes you'll struggle like this one. It's not complying, but it is what it is. So now I went sideways a little bit. This should have been already in. Usually you do like 2 or 3 turns and the thing's already down. So what's going on here? What's holding up? Okay, one went down. There we go. Now we're all the way down. All right, let's go ahead and install this drum assemblies inside the barrel of the case. Install our band, and then we come back to the bench again to this same spot, and we're going to work on the pump itself and start installing our shift kit components. Okay, so let's talk about the band first. So here's our band, here's our 2 fingers, and I'm going to show you how it is installed on to the case. So as you can see, it's installed like this. Now the 2 fingers, they supposed to hold right there, and I don't know why a lot of builders, they like to straighten up these fingers because they cannot get the band in there, but actually these fingers are to hold the band together, not to travel too much and open the band up, so when you take the servo out for some reason, if you need to remove the servo, it won't be unlatched. If you straighten up the legs and if you remove the servo, this is going to travel too far where it's going to be away from the servo hole, and it's not going to grab the band anymore. So I do not recommend you bending those fingers, and I'm going to show you the way that I install the band. I do not install the band first. I install my drums first and then install my band. All right, so let's go ahead and drop our assembly, and I have you in the way, so we're going to rotate and wiggle both the drums until it drops. It's going to get to the point where it's going to get a little stiffer, and you're going to need to use some pliers to rotate, just like I'm doing now, just to help you. What I do, I lift up a little bit, just enough so that I can engage my 3/4 frictions into the from Planetary ring gear. It feels like I'm all the way down already. There we go. It's all the way down. Now you saw that the input shaft dropped and the reverse drum did not go any further down. And the reason is because the reverse drum actually sits on the sunshell itself. So you got to have a little bit of play here in the input drum. Now I think I need to position the camera a little bit different so you guys can see this. And unfortunately you guys are going to be in the way. I mean, it's very easy for me to install the band. I'm going to show you how easy it is for me. I just position it like that, get my thumb, hold my band, and then I push on the drum itself like that. See how it dropped? Now, this is the reason why a lot of builders, they bend these legs, because they can't figure out how to get it passed through there. But it's as easy as this. Still use your thumb and hit your input shaft. Watch this. It's that easy. Now, on this side, this is not latched. I use a screwdriver like I'm doing here. So I'm going to install the band, and I'm going to remove it again to show you with a different angle. My band is on there. Now I'm going to remove everything. I'm going to take my drums out because I don't think I can remove the band without taking the drums out. But I'm going to try to position the camera in a way where you can see over here instead of you looking from the opposite side of the camera. So to do that, you need to unlatch the band now. Open it like that. Get your drum out. Let's get the band out. Let's get the drum back in. Yeah, it's a lot of work just to show you guys how it's done. There we go. Now we're all the way in. Let me try and position you or find a way. It's going to be hard for me because I'm going to be on a very uncomfortable position trying to install the band to show you how I do it. But I guess let's give it a try. If it doesn't not come out, the outcome is not what I'm aiming for on this next clip, I'm just going to put the band on and just call it a day with the band. But let's see if I can try to get you over here and show you what's going on. Okay, so I cannot see the screen even though I have the screen flipped to my side. I can't see it the way you're at right now. I think this is the best angle I'm going to possible to do, and I know my hands are going to be in the way, and then I zoomed in a little bit. I got the camera way high and I zoom in. So let's try this again. See the way it is sitting right here? The bottom one, the finger is shorter than the top one, so you can actually just push down on it, move your input shaft, and it drops down like nothing. Well, it was easy a while ago. Now, as you can see, my fingers are in the way. But now you see where it's at now? So I'm going to try and use the screwdriver just so you guys can see. But I am holding it against the drum and push down with the screwdriver, and I usually do this with my thumb, but and it goes, you can pop, once you learn this, how to do it like the way I do it, you can pop that band in less than 10 seconds. So let's try this again. Now I'm going to hit the input shaft to the 1 o'clock position. Just watch this. That's it. See how easy that was? Now we are going to try and position the band to latch on that anchor, the band anchor. And we do this with the screwdriver as well. So I am at the, where's the old band? Did I throw that thing out already? So I don't want to take this band out no more. So I am at the circle where let me see if I can, I think I threw that thing away already. And it was trash day. Yeah. Do I have another one somewhere? No, I don't. I used one. Nope, I don't. I don't have another band. So, and I threw that away. Ah, well. Anyways, so I wanted to show you where I have my screwdriver over here with the other band. So you want to be on above the pivot, or not the pivot pin, but the band anchor pin. You want to be above it. And then you hold it, and then you push down a little bit until, push it a little bit more until it pops into place. This screwdriver is a little bit too short. Get this one over here. There we go. It's in. It's in. I know, I mean, I could have been done with this transmission a long time ago, but I mean, just for showing you guys 700 R4 rebuilt, I mean, it is what it is. All right, now the drum's installed, the band's installed, and I hope that in these 2 clips right here, you understand exactly how to install the band. And it's that easy. You don't have to struggle with anything. You don't have to put the band in first, bend the fingers, and then try to install your drums. You don't do it that way. I mean, at least I don't, you know. This is by far the easiest and fastest way to install the band. Alright, so before we get into the valve body and the pump assembly, let's look at what's in here. This is our next step. We got the pressure regulator spring. We have accumulator springs and seats. One of these is going to go to the servo, one of those springs. Okay. We have some valve body springs and a check ball. There are different colors for different variations, model variations. We have the throttle valve with return springs and this big red spring. All these for the throttle valve. As you can see, the shift kit does not come with a lot of things. Here's the instructions for it. Let's see what it says. It says TV adjustment not effective. It says corrects, prevents, reduces. TV adjust not effective. Sometimes you have that issue, and my solution to that is to remove check balls, and it actually works pretty good. I mean, contrary to that, we're not going to do it my way. We're going to do it this way. We're going to follow the directions it says here, and that's it. It fixes late hard shifts or no fourth gear. Sometimes no fourth gear. When I remove the check balls, he kind of corrects it for some reason. 1 too soft, bang or slide bump. Cut loose on the 2-3 shift. Highway cruise falls out of fourth. Converter shutter. It installs easily with trans in vehicle or on the bench. And it does because you have access to the pressure regulator valve even when the pump is installed. And our first step is to grind this land flush. On the late models, it already has two, on the land itself, it has 2 flat spots, you know, because that's a line to lube. We installed this green spring, reversed and intermediate boost. For performance applications, you want to put a performance boost right here and a performance boost valve as well for performance application. But this is not a performance build. Even though we put the 3/4 clutches are the racing clutches, but that's just for durability. On the accumulator pistons, here we put an orange and a blue spring in the spring seat for the second accumulator. And as you saw on video 1 on the teardown, he had 2 accumulators stacked one on top of the other. This is our servo assembly, and the servo has a number here and here or here, and we're going to match this number with one of the accumulator springs. As we can see here, this is our throttle valve lineup. Everything that's going to go in here where the throttle valve is. This is our accumulator valve, and this is where you match the servo number with the spring that you're going to install in the accumulator valve. Like 554, you use an orange. 553, you use a brown, and any other like a Corvette servo or anything like that, or you would install in a super servo, you install the black spring. The line bias valve, also you match it with your boost valve to spring. You have to match the size of your boost valve like it says in the right here. So you measure your boost valve and you're gonna, the line bias spring, you're gonna match it with that. Anything else? Check ball locations. 87 and up type with auxiliary valve body, no check ball here. 82 to 87 without auxiliary valve body. It takes a check ball on the bathtub, like I show in video 1 and explained the location, how to identify if it takes or if it does not take. If you have 2 holes, it takes a ball. If it has 1 square, it does not take a check ball. 2 check balls on the valve body. And here he's asking for us to install all the check balls on the case 1, 2, 3, and 4 because it's 87 and up. And this one, number 9 check ball, is if you have 2 holes on the spacer plate. Band clearance, he comes with this shim right here, this golden shim is to adjust the band clearance. And install original spring into the case first, then install the accumulator piston as shown, even if it wasn't that way originally. So the spring is going to go first, and then the accumulator. And we're going to enlarge the holes. We're going to follow the enlargement of the holes as it says here. This is non-auxiliary. They're both auxiliary valve bodies, plates. But yeah, we'll do that as well. Anything else? I think that's it for this. There's another piece of paper in here. Look at this. Additional information, 3/4 clutch durability, 3/4 return springs, 87 and up 700s, and all 4L60Es need these return springs. Contrary to what it says on ATSG book, this spring should always be used with the original thickness bottom and top pressure plate and snap ring. These springs prevent clutch drag during a high throttle in first, second, and during 3-2 kickdown by opposing centrifugal residual oil apply force at higher revolutions. This is what I was talking about when why with under 60,000s you want to have those for higher applications. A lighter throttle, these springs reduce overlap during the 2-3 upshift and make a cleaner 3-2 downshift. As I mentioned before, it feels pretty good when you go from the third to second because they release the frictions right away. These springs prevent accidental clutch applied because of minor cross leaks at the input rings, support, or valve body. So we install new sealing rings on the input shaft, and we install new bushings on the support or the stator. Yeah, stator support. Adding additional 3/4 clutches can be installed by using thinner steel plates and reusing the original pressure plates, snap ring, and 3/4 return springs. For hot rods that rev about 5200 RPM, use the 7, some more stuff. Yeah, that's some more stuff for hot rods. Now look at the specifications from Transgo for the clearances of the 3/4 clutch. That's why I was saying 60,000, above 60,000 is just crazy, especially if you're doing the load springs. This transmission likes 15,000 to 30,000 clearance here. That's a little bit too tight for me. 15,000 is a little bit too tight for me because I want some oil. I mean, I can do 30,000s, and I've done 30,000s before. But on this one, I mean, we could have put a. I have coiling steels that are different thicknesses, like this one. The performance steel. It's a little thicker, so we could have put maybe 6 frictions and get it closer to the 30,000s. But we're going to leave it as it is. It's at 52,000, so that's perfect right there. It's under 60,000, and because of the wear, you want to go lower, especially if you're using these. So there's another confirmation on video 1. Did I mention that, or maybe on this video, about the drain back, front seal drain back? And here he's asking for us to notch the bushing, so it won't walk out. But on this one, it has a little ridge. Like the late models, they've added that. They added all 4L60s have it. That's why on the 4L60s you cannot install the pump bushing through this side because it won't fit. And I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little stopper right here for the bushing not to walk out. On the late 700s, and all 4L60s have this little stopper, and the bushing won't walk out unless it's severely worn out. So on this pump cover here, it is not necessary, you know, to stake the bushing like all 4s do. So we're going to install the bushing, the slide, and the pivot pin here in a minute. But now you see, like I was saying, there's a controversy on whether you use it, whether you not use it. In the seminar, one of the seminars, we talked about that. I mean, it's just builder preference. But on tight clearances, and like I said, this is just my opinion, tight clearances like this, you gotta have that, because you want freedom of, you want them to spin freely, not dragging. If they drag, they'll burn. They'll burn quickly. And if you have too much clearance, it'll squeeze into this, and the clutches are gonna overrun. They're gonna slip, they're gonna burn. So it's a catch-22 sort of type of deal on this on the load springs. And I know a lot of you guys asked me about the load spring. So on this video, this is a complete video. I could have done a video just about it, just for on the load springs by themselves. But whoever wants to learn my opinion on this, they're gonna have to watch the video until this point, because this is where I'm gonna mention only about the load springs, and maybe one day I'll do a video just on that, on the load springs. All right, so let's go ahead and take apart. Before we forget, let's go ahead and install the filter that goes there. We have our new filter. Let's look for the O-ring for this. So we got our new O-ring filter. Let's lube it up. Let's go ahead and install it so we won't forget. If you forget, all your fluid pressure will escape through here, through this hole, and you're going to have low line pressure, no converter charge, and it's going to slip really, really bad. All right, so we get our pliers. We're going to remove our boost valve, and then we're going to look and see which one it is. Now, what Transgood did on their instructions, they have the actual size painted on the piece of paper. So you don't have to be measuring and measuring. I mean, you can just get this paper or the instructions. Come here, come here, come here. We're going to see what kind of boost valve this thing has. Sometimes you'll be surprised that they'll probably have a performance one, but this one doesn't, and it looks like the 395. So the way you do it, you just wipe it off a little bit. You just put it on top, like that. That's a 395. This one you can actually see, it's actually a 442. We'll confirm that. It doesn't fit on the 471. As you can see, it's actually large. You can see the circle. but this might be a 442, which that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like to me. Let's find out. Battery or what? Oh, thousandths of an inch. 420. 420 and a half. 422. So yeah, it is B. So remember that. It's B to choose the line bias spring. So we're gonna use that. I'm gonna use a little bit of lubricant. I ran out of WD-40, and I know a lot of you guys say that it's not a lubricant, but it's a good cleaner. And I use it on my valve bodies. Actually, Superior transmission parts. You know, the parts that they sell on the NAC ones, the lube regulator spring or the valve, you ream it out. This goes like this. You ream it out and they ask you to use WD-40. So this is the original spring. We're going to take the valve out and we're going to look at that land. Sometimes you'll take it out and it's already ground down. So if they did that, you don't have to do it. And no, it's still factory size. So I'm going to have to go to the grinder and I'm just going to grind that off. I don't need you to take you over there. I mean, I don't feel like carrying the tripod and all that stuff over there just to show you how to grind something on the bench grinder. All right, let me do this right quick. I'll be right back. Okay, so there we have it. Ground off. Not perfect, not fuzzy. As long as you have fluid passing by those two areas, that's all you want. That's exactly all you want. Get this drill right quick. In the battery. Let's get one of the bench buddies and see which one we're going to use. I'm going to grab this one. And I usually like to run WD-40 in there because it works pretty good. It works really, really good. So I'm going to do it dry like this. Make sure it's nice and clean. Put a little bit of this. Get my shop air. And just blow it away. All right. Let's go ahead and install our pressure regulator valve. It'll fall right in. You can see right there, fell right in. We're going to open up our parts bag. Get our green pressure regulator spring. It comes with a new snap ring. Let's put this, the orange and the blue are going to go on the 1-2 accumulator, and then the other blue is going to go, and this are going to go to the servo. All right. Now, it's a little tricky getting this one installed, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to get some green assembly lube and just paste it on there like that. And we're going to try to go sideways in. It's a little, like I said, it's a little tricky. And over here the same. Kind of like make them stick together. All right. And a magnet will work as well. Clean this magnet up a little bit. Like that. And like that. Let's attempt to do this right quick. Sometimes it doesn't happen. Sometimes it does. We're going to go in. Just enough so we can get our snap ring, pliers, and our new snap ring. Put it on your pliers and go in with it. Always make sure that the snap ring is fully seated on the snap ring groove. Let's go ahead and take that out. Get a screwdriver and just pry that thing out. I'm going to add some lube now because it'll be harder once it's in the case, installed in the case, to install lube here. Alright, so part of the stator is done. Let's go ahead and install our pump washer. Pump washer. I have the fan off for audio purposes, and you guys got me suffering over here, man. Alright, so we put a little bit of assembly lube on the sealing ring grooves. Just a little bit on one end. On the 4L60s you don't have to because it's a closed sealing ring, and see the 700s, they open up like that. They come already cut. And that's to keep them close together. Paste them on there, and just I like to run my hand like this, my fingers, just to make sure that they are installed properly and they're not sticking out, because if they're sticking out you're gonna have some issues where it goes through the bushings. You can cut them. You can cut them. Alright, let's get our pump slide out of the box. So we got the complete rotor, and vanes. I'm going to install the whole kit. Put a little bit, as you can see, this thing's not new. What the? Okay. Alright, but I mean, as you can see, it's just nice and black, nice and dark. That means that it's not worn out. Let me bring the other one. Once it gets shiny like that, you can see the difference, the inside of it. Once it gets shiny, it's worn out. So this one's wore out. Set it to the side. So we put the O-ring, and then we put the ring, or the sealing ring that goes there. I'm going to get the pump, the pivot pin spring, and remember we had that on a magnet on the bench, a little orange spring. I'm going to set the pump slide in the pocket just like that, and then we're going to get the seals that go there. One is rounded rubber, and the other one is square Teflon. And the rubber portion of it is the spring. It acts as a spring, and the Teflon is the seal that seals and slides. When the pump slide is in operation like this, it's like a sealing ring, sort of, kind of. Now the pivot pin, and I had that pivot pin on a magnet, and I do not see it. It's over here. Okay, and what I do, I just squeeze it so that my pivot pin will go in like that. Now let's get the priming springs, and always make sure, like the early models only comes with the outer one, always make sure that you add the inner one if yours don't have an inner spring. I need a screwdriver. I know there's a tool for this, but this is the way I do it. Let me get this out of the way. So I just put it like halfway against the slide, like that. This is in the way. And then I get my screwdriver and just lay it on the edge. And remember, the spring is halfway down. And with my thumb, you got to make sure you grab both. And with my thumb, it's kind of, why are you doing this? Just because the guys are watching right now or what? There you go. There you go. It's in now. All right. Now, the pump bushing, I mean, it's already on there. Let's put the front seal in this thing. Where's the front seal at? It's right here. And I use the largest bushing driver that I have. I usually do it on the shop press because it goes straight. But we're gonna do it here on the bench. All this stuff is gonna start flopping around. You'll know when it's bottomed out. And then we're gonna look for the best position to install our seal retainer, which is usually like at the 5 o'clock position. Like when you're looking at it installed already on the case, it's usually like at a 5 o'clock position. You know, the little tab right here, or the ID tab. That's usually where it's at. I'm going to install one expander ring. We have the rotor guide. Install the rotor. Now we install all the 13 vanes. And it looks like it's going to be missing some. Let's find out. Let's find out. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. This pump is going to become a little bit more efficient with 13 vanes instead of the 10 that he had. And the 82 to 86 or 85, they're 8 vanes. So they went from 8 to 10 and then 13 up to now. It's just a little bit more pump efficiency, and see, I knew there was one. There's going to be at least one missing. It's not in the box. Nope, it's not in the box. Box is empty, but I had some over here. Let's see. No, I don't think I ran out. Okay. Got one. Go ahead and install our expander. And put it on the hole, but if I put it on the hole, you're going to be off camera. That's why I got this right here. So, just so I won't get lost, I do it like this, and this is just my way to do it. There's 2 bolt holes that are together. I always put them, you know, to my right, and then on the pump cover, here's the 2 holes that go together. You know, the bolt holes. That's what I do. And that's it. Let me get the 5 pump bolts to go there. 2, 3, 4, 5. Install the 5 pump bolts. We're going to torque these to 18 foot-pounds. 18 foot-pounds. We get our pump alignment band on this thing. Make sure you're covering where both halves meet. Just gonna get a screwdriver and just make sure that all my holes, they're not perfectly aligned because they're kind of offset a little bit, but you got to get them as close together as to where it's not going to interfere with your bolts. You know, the bolts that bolt up to the case. Now, what I do with my impact, I think I put that thing away. It's right here. All right, give me a battery. What did I do with the battery? Where's the battery at? What the what? All right, let's get the one from this drill. Here you go. Here you go. Oh, because this is not the impact. This is the other. This is a spare impact. Okay, yeah, that's no big deal. So where's the other one at? All right, I'll deal with that later. So let's we're gonna just get him close enough, and then we're gonna torque him. All right, let's turn this on. 18 foot-pounds. 18 foot-pounds. And you do this in a star pattern. Double check. All right. 18 foot-pounds. Now we can take our band off. Set it to the side. And I need to do a little bit more custom gasket material. You can barely see it, but it does have a little bit of gasket material on there. Remember, this thing had water, so gasket kind of gets really stuck. Okay, so our pump is done. We need to lubricate the inside here, our bushing, and then our stator tube. Lubricate everything real good. Pump O-ring. Pump O-ring. Let's go ahead and lube that up. Lube it up like Bob Ross. Use your brush like Bob Ross. There we go. Let's go ahead and put this to the side. Let's go ahead and do the valve body, because I don't want to be moving the tripod here and there and be all over the place, and then I'll forget to turn the audio on just like I did in the beginning of the video. So we're going to start with the throttle valve. Let me get some little mini pliers, and where they at? Oh, you guys are in the way. Move you guys a little bit. If I can open this drawer. Here they are. All right. So let me go down a little bit. There we go. I think that's better. All right. Where are you going? There's a roll pin here and a roll pin here. This roll pin sometimes is hard to get out or get something in there, so I have these little mini pliers or snap-on. I can't see it's kind of faded away. The part number 5ACP, I think that's what it is. I don't know. Let's see if the camera picks it up. Too bright. That's 5ACP or whatever that thing is. Yeah, 5ACP. I think that's what it is. This grabs this roll pin real good, and it fits perfectly in this slot right here. And they actually grab pretty good. See that? Comes right out. So this is the inner roll pin. Then we have this other one. For some reason this one gets really hard to get out sometimes, as you saw. Let me get some side cutters. Yeah. Side cutters. There we go. It's out. Some straight pliers. So we can get the throttle valve out. And the aluminum gets stuck in there. And that's about the only way you can get this out. I do not have a good grip on it. And you really don't want to damage it either. There we go. Get a smaller screwdriver. The smallest one I got. So I can do it from here. There we go. It's coming. Come on now. Grab it real good. There we go. Came out. I'm going to use the bench buddies. Here's the other impact. So I have a spare impact just in case. It was right in front of me and I couldn't see it. Socket stuck on the thing. It's brand new. Alright, we'll deal with that later. But I need the battery though. Alright, we're going to run the bench buddy through it. Clean it. I'm going to go ahead and rinse it and blow it. Oh, I got this off. Well, I'll use some of these. Okay, nice and clean. Nice and clean. Let's get some little bit of lubricant on this thing. And let's see what it says on the directions. We'll go ahead and drop it back in there. Put the impact over there out of the way. So, we already did that. We already measured the 442. We haven't done this yet. We'll come back to that. We're not going to do the servo part yet. So he wants the TV valve with the brown spring inside and the tapered spring. It says a TV bushing used. Some models do not remove. This one on some models is all the way in here, and this one looks like it's just a regular valve by itself. Here's the spring. Let's get it out. Let's get it out and see what it looks like. So the valve should fall out. There we go. And there is a spring, so this is just a regular stock valve. And there should be a conical spring in here. There we go. So it already does have a conical spring, which is an anti-stick spring. Goes like that. I'm going to go ahead and blow this off a little bit. Okay, I'm going to use a larger bench buddy for the outside of the go ahead and blow that out. All right, let's go ahead and get our valve train components over here. Throttle valve. So here's our red spring. When the spring bottoms out, this assists the spring, and then we have a spacer, and then we have our throttle valve. Let's get it out. Okay, so we got the throttle valve. We have the brown spring. Put a little bit of a green assembly lube on it just to hold it in place so it won't fall out while you're going into the bore. Then he has the conical spring. Put a little lubricant on there. And we're going to go in. And you would need a kind of like a long screwdriver just to get it all the way in. And then we get the roll pin that we get out. Just make sure you're compressing it. And then drive it in there. So there we have our TV valve installed. Gotta make sure that it goes all the way. Yeah. We're good on that. Red spring, if original spring is longer than red spring, reuse it. Diesel, install aluminum shim. It says, if plunger has no number or 94, install new TV valve and springs. Any other number, you reuse the original TV valve with taper spring only. Okay, let's look at this. It has no numbers. Yeah, there's no numbers. If there were numbers here, they're gone. If plunger has no number or 94, so it has no number, so we'll install this. This is not a diesel, so we're not going to install that. But we're going to install this as it is. As a matter of fact, right here. Okay. I think I'm going to take it to my bench grinder and just I have a wire wheel on it, kind of clean that up a little bit. Hold that thought. Okay, so this is what was holding up, you know, that burr that he had here. So now I cleaned that up. Let's put a little bit of lube so it'll go right in. Here's the roll pin. And here's the slot where the roll pin goes. You're going to have to align it. Align it. I'm going to go in with it. And it's still hard to get in, even though I cleaned that up. Let's see. If I use a deep socket, hold that thought right quick. Don't go nowhere. Alright, let's see. And then we're going to tap it. Yep. As long as this don't fall in there. Align it to where the roll pin will go in. Needs to go in more. About right there. A little more. There we go. It's in. Put this away. So there we have our throttle valve installed. Just look in here. It's on there. Okay, the next one is the line bias valve. The line bias valve is right here. Has this big big roll pin. So I usually push it with my pick a little bit, then get my needle nose pliers, and then just grab this thing and pull it out. Get the end plug out. That's the end plug. And we get the line bias valve out, which is slides out, line bias. I'm going to clean that up too. And the line bias spring. Let's run Bench Buddy on it. Polish that bore. Let's use the next one up. When I'm doing this, I like to use the WD-40, spray it in there, and then blow it out. Let's blow this thing out. Okay, so he had B. So it was 422. You had a B. We're going to use the blue spring. Open the bag up. Blue spring. I'm going to clean this valve out. Clean valve. Drop it in there. test for, make sure that it's not dragging or anything. Feels good. This little step goes out. Thank you. The little step goes out. Push it in. Push the plug in, and the valve need to get the valve aligned. Okay, let me get this end plug out. And it's really, really hot. There we go. Need to get the valve in, position it to where it's going to go in, and hold it with something. Now we put the roll pin in there. No, not the roll pin, the end plug. End plug, and then the roll pin. Let go of the valve. There we go. Line bias valve with the blue spring. That's what it was calling for. Okay, so where's my servo? It's 553. 553 servo. 553. Let's see what he calls for a 553. 554 orange, 553 brown, other black. Okay, so we're going to use the brown spring, which is this one right here. Brown spring. Let's go ahead and take our roll pin out. It's actually the one next door right here from the line bias. So this one, it's easy to get the roll pin out. Get the roll pin and start getting the bushing out where the valve lives. And here it is. This is the accumulator valve and the plunger where it lives in. I'm going to go ahead and clean that out and put the brown spring on it. I'm going to put you guys on pause right quick. I got to change my gloves right quick. Got it tore down with that roll pin. Okay, so I got this cleaned up right quick. Let's go ahead and lube it up a little bit. Valve as well. Valve goes in through this end. And it bottoms out. And then we have this end plug over here on this side. Now we're going to put our brown spring on the accumulator valve. We're going to align the square hole where the roll pin goes through. Let's go ahead and install this. I'm going to do a little bit more cleaning work on this. I got to redo the surface, you know, with the stone, and clean this valve body a little more. Install the roll pin, and this bushing is kind of loose in there, which is a good thing. The roll pin is almost through, but the end plug was in the way. And there we go. So the valve body portion of it is done. It's just these two valves, just these three items on the valve body on the junior shift kit. Two check balls, no check ball here, no check ball here. He takes a check ball here, and he takes a check ball here. So I'm going to take it to my wash tank over there with bar salt, clean it a little bit more, and run my stone because we still have some gasket material on it. And I'm going to have to recheck my case and the case is pretty clean, but I'm still going to run the stone on the case as well and blow that thing up real good, just to make sure that we don't have no residue of any gasket and any imperfections with the stone, you know, like a knife sharpening stone, nice and straight. And you just want to make sure that you have a nice surface area on the valve body and also on the case. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Put you guys on pause, turn the fan on, and cool myself down a little bit while I'm doing that. And then we're going to go to the case, install the pump. We're going to install the pump and we're going to install the pump. We're going to install the servo after the pump, and then we're gonna work on the installation of the valve body. I'm going to show you with the Scotch-Brite, the accumulator bores. I resurface them with Scotch-Brite. I mean, just like you do honing on the cylinders. When you hone the cylinders, you want that little cross-hatch pattern, you know, for the oil to get into the, for lubrication. And I do the same on the accumulator bores. All right, I'm going to put you guys on pause. I'm going to get to work on this thing. And once I'm ready and set up, I'll take you guys over there. All right, so we're going to enlarge some holes. And we're going to follow these directions. Hole A to 93 to 110, which is hole A is this one here. I haven't enlarged anything yet. Hole B, 76 thousandths, and hole B is this one right here. This one right here. I have the gasket here to identify him. That's where the check balls go. So this is, I have the 76 drill bit. This is already larger than that. And then hole C, which is the next one, this one, they want it at 110. And then hole D is the one next to the square. We're going to drill that to 110 thousandths of an inch as well. Hole E, it's in this corner, is going to go to 110 thousandths as well. And then hole F, which is that one, my plate does not have it already. With my punch, I already punched the location where I'm going to drill the hole. So it says that if plate does not have hole F, use gasket as a guide and drill hole F 70 to 76 thousandths of an inch. So I already have the 76 thousandths of an inch drill bit on my drill, and we are going to drill this hole. There we go. We got a brand new hole in it. Go ahead and clean that up. To the other side. We got a new hole. Now I gotta get a 110 thousandths of an inch drill bit. I'm gonna put you guys on pause right quick. Gotta go get it. Okay, the other four holes are going to be to 110. So let's start with hole A, which is this one right here. You have a slot. You have a slot, the hole, and then a bullet hole next to it. You have a slot, the hole, and a bullet hole. So we identify that as that. 110 thousandths of an inch drill bit. That's hole A. Hole B, we already did it to 76 thousandths of an inch. Hole C, 110. Hole C is the one next to it. That's 76. And that's, well, that was already a little bit larger than 76. And this is going to be 110 thousandths of an inch. Okay, so it's 110 thousandths of an inch. Now hole D is next to a square. It's got a square, and then we got the hole, we got the square, and we got the hole. 110, that's hole D. hole E is over here on this corner, over here. Okay, so now we have all the bolt holes enlarged, and we drilled the 76 thousandths of an inch hole here that my plate did not have, which is hole F. Okay, so we're done with the spacer plate. Let's see what else we need to do to this 700R4. So we've done that. We're about to do this. We're gonna install the pump first, then we're gonna install the servo. Okay, so this is page 2. We already did the valve body. Let's go ahead and do the servo. I'm gonna go ahead and grind these 4 notches here. They're really not necessary, but I mean, we're just gonna go through the whole thing and grind those 4 notches there. Is just so fluid will not get trapped inside the servo and giving you like a harder shift or whatever. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. I'll be right back. Okay, let's put together the servo assembly. I got all my servo parts right here on top of the instruction sheet, and I already went to the bench grinder and grind the 4 notches. So for that, these are the 2 items for the servo that came on the shift kit. So what we're going to do now, what we're going to start is installing those components into the servo. So we got the new spring, we got the original spring, we got the cover. I need to get the pin. Got the pin over here. I said I had all the components, but and here is the servo pin. Install the servo pin, and what I do, I put this upside down like this, and then I go to my press, to my foot press, and compress those 2 springs to install my snap ring. Just hold on just 1 second. I'm not going to put it on camera, but let me do this right quick. So I'm installing the snap ring now. All I'm doing is just compressing and installing the snap ring. And this, I have to take it off again. Hold that thought. It jumped out. Hold that thought. Yeah, I should have put you guys on pause. So this is what happened. It jumped out when I put the snap ring on. So I'm going to go back to the press. Make sure it doesn't jump out again. Okay, so we are good. We are good. All right. I guess it's the cooling deprivation that I'm going through, just so that audio will come out good. I know that in the beginning of the video that was kind of a mistake, a couple of mistakes there. So this is the new spring that comes on the overhaul kit. So we install that, and as you can see, it's above the snap ring groove, and then we install this washer, and our pin is all the way seated. So what happens is that the original factory ones, they get weak, like this one here. This is the one that came out of here, and they get weak, and it's under the snap ring groove, as you see here. And some of them, they have a lot of coils to it, but they still they stay compressed with age and heat. They stay compressed. And this is a new, supposedly, it does not it holds its form, you know, supposedly. All right, so now let's install the E-clip. It's going to be a little bit tricky. I'm trying to show this on camera, like this on the side. So you just compress the snap ring a little bit, or not the snap ring, the spring. You compress the spring a little bit, and then you put your E-clip on it. Now let's get a green assembly lube, and I'm going to put a little bit on the groove, on the sealing ring groove. And install our new sealing rings on it. And I don't know if you're noticing, but I'm only using assembly lube where they meet together. That's to keep it together, to keep it close together. There's the other sealing ring. Now you have a blue one and a green one. The green one goes here, and the blue one goes on the cover. Now we install this. So half of it is already done. That's the second servo. This is the fourth apply, and that second apply. Install our sealing ring. And I know there's some builders that flip it over like this because this is raised up a little bit, and for band adjustment we're not going to do that because we have this right here. Install our fourth clutch piston, our spacer, and there we go. It's assembled, and then the spring goes here, return spring, and you lube up the O-rings, and we're going to go to the case itself, and we're going to try and finish this thing. I know this video is way too long already, but it is what it is. And instead of going fast as I always do, I'm trying to take a little bit slower and explain every single detail to you guys so that you can understand a little better. Like you saw the clip, I did 2 different clips for the band installation, or 2 different angles, so that you can see, you know, how to install a band. All right, I'm gonna reposition you guys so we can install our pump, install our servo, and install our valve body. All right, guys, there's 2 pump gaskets that come on the overhaul kit. We have this one that has this area right here, and then we got this one that doesn't have it. This is for the 82 to 86, and the 87 and up with auxiliary valve body takes this right here. And the way to ID it on the pump itself, you're going to have this notch right here and this hole. The older ones don't have this notch, and they don't have that hole. So you won't have fluid leaking out the vent. You got to install this gasket, the one that has the extra material on it. And the other one, this one, does not have it, as you see if I put it on top of the other. And it actually looks a little different. Okay, so I am positioned right, and if I put it on top of that, you have the 2 holes here, but you have an opening here. It's completely open. All right, so that is what it is, and that's how you ID what gasket do you take. And actually, this gasket you can retrofit it to the older ones. So this is, I don't know why they still include that gasket. This gasket works with the old ones. So one fits all. All right, so we position our gasket there. As you can see, I have blue assembly lube. Now let's go ahead and lower our pump. And I have a real long, skinny screwdriver. And I can already sense that I gotta touch my sealing rings. and make sure that they are, it's not passing. There we go. Now, just because I have you guys here, I cannot put my head, you know, and okay, it's not going down. There's something going on. And I usually mold my bushings with an old Stator, and I think one of the bushings is causing an issue now. Yeah, it's coming with the reverse drum. All right, well, off camera I checked and see what was going on. I thought it was a bushing, but I have a bad drum. And I took the pump out, flip it over, and slid the bad drum on the Stator, so I don't have to take the drums out. And it seems like one of the sealing rings was not, it was a little bit oversized, so I had to mold the sealing rings with that drum, with the bad drum, so I don't have to take the drum out. But there we go. It's already in. Now I got to install the pump bolts and torque them to 18 foot-pounds. I'm not going to show that. I'm not going to show that because I mean, I had to do some rework. You know, I took the pump out and to inspect that, and it's just taking a little bit too long, and I need to hurry up and finish this. But like I promised you, I mean, you're going to see everything. You're going to see the installation of the servo. You're going to see the installation of the valve body, and we go from there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and install the servo now. I wanted to put you guys right here on the side so you can kind of look, I mean, what I'm doing. But I think from up there, it's still a good angle. I mean, it's just the servo just goes in there. So I'm going to put a little bit of the green assembly lube, and I'm just going to stick it on there. Get my servo assembly completely. Push it in. Then I'm going to get just a hammer, put it on my hip, and I'm going to push in until it's all the way in, and then install my snap ring. I think I got a better shot on the 4L60 rebuild video, but it is the same thing. Now we're going to air check second clutch, which is this hole right here. And we can see the servo. Well, I can see the servo. You can see the band applying on there. And no, this is fourth clutch. Yeah, this is fourth clutch. No, this is second clutch. Fourth clutch is here. It's kind of hard to get a good seal, but I can see through this hole. I can see the band applying. Second, fourth. Overrun frictions are on this triangle right here, and I put this big nozzle here, and I just put my finger on my thumb. You can actually hear it. Overrun. Forward clutch is going to be on the crossover pipe that goes to the accumulator valve body. Forward clutch. This is a valve. And we got that's forward. We got 3/4. I think this is 3/4 and that's reverse, but it's kind of hard to seal it. And this is the reverse clutch, reverse input. You can hear it thump. That one too, but it's kind of hard to get in there. So what you can also do, you can get a shop towel and use it as a seal. Oh, there we go. Air checks real good. This is reverse clutch and this is low reverse. Now this is completely worn out. If I put a check ball in there, it's gonna fall in there. It's gonna cause some problems. It's gonna lock the low reverse piston. Good apply, and this is low reverse. And you have to remember that the low reverse piston had 3 seals. So one is reverse clutch and the other one is low reverse, or manual first. In other words, when you put your shift lever on manual first. Let me get this out of the way. All right, now the next step is going to be installing the third accumulator piston. Just like that. That's what the shift kit's set to do. I'm not going to install the check ball there, but I got 1, 2, 3, 4 check balls. Now let's go ahead and install. Only one of these came in the overhaul kit, and it's actually for the governor. You use the valve body bolt and just push it in. But it does have another location here that will take one. So the old one, we're going to put it on this location, which is torque converter clutch. Oh, this one doesn't have a stopper, so we're not going to put nothing in there. Usually you'll have a little stopper just like the one over here. So yeah, we're not going to install nothing in there, so the old one we just go ahead and discard it. All right, let's install our separator plate. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 check balls. And what I do, I have these from E4OD or 4R100 case, like an old broken case. I got this studs, and they're perfect for aligning the valve body. So these are called, or Transco calls it the Z bolts, which is the alignment holes to align the separator plate. Once you align these 2 holes, everything else is aligned properly. Now we're going to install our did I tighten this up already? Yeah, I already tightened that up. Our auxiliary valve body. And on part 1 I showed how to disassemble it, but I kind of jumped the gun and already put the accumulator piston in there and the spring and bolted it up. But I mean, that's what it is. 2 short bolts, and there's this yellow painted bolt. I'm just going to put it here and start it. I'm going to just slowly get the 8mm started. We're going to torque this to 8 pounds. I'm not going to do this one here. I just want to get it in the threads so that the accumulator body, it's aligned. Now, with Scotch-Brite, we need to clean this up. And I haven't done it yet because I wanted to show it to you. Or a piece of scuffing pad. We're just going to go like this all the way around. And then we're going to install our spring seat, the blue spring, and the orange spring. Okay, we have a good finish on it. Put a little bit of assembly lube. Lube it up. Spring seat. The I think the blue spring, yeah, the blue spring goes first. Let's get the paper. Where you at? Yeah, the blue, the seat, blue, piston, and orange. All right, piston is over here. This is the way we're going to install the piston. The orange spring. It fits kind of tight on the accumulator, which is all right. Let's go ahead and start this. One long one and two short ones. Okay, we're all the way down. Now we take our alignment studs out. We'll go ahead and torque these. 8 foot-pounds. I'm going to start with the 8 first. Eight foot-pounds. There we go. Get the 10mm socket on there. Okay, set this to the side. And I've already pre-installed 2 check balls here, no check ball here. I have my manual valve here. I'm just going to align it in this position like that. And I'm going to hold on to it, flip it over, and then latch it. Latch it on the wire itself. There we go. It's latched on. Remember the 2 Z bolts? Those are the ones that we're going to install first. So we install 1 bolt here. This is going to align our valve body. I'm not bottomed out yet. And on part 1, I showed you how this little wire goes. So the wire goes like this, goes on the inside. Don't put it on the outside because you're going to have, it'll bind, you're going to have some late shifts, uncontrollable, you're not going to be able to control the, you're not going to have any cable control, in other words, when you try to adjust your manual valve. And this pushes the, I mean not the manual valve, the throttle valve. That's the throttle valve. We get 2 bolts. Let's go ahead and get our lock-up solenoid. Change the O-ring on this thing. Two 10mm bolts. Get this through under here. This is going to go here. Our temperature sensor or switch. It's not a sensor, it's a switch. And let's put all the bolts on. We're going to put all of them except, well, this one we're just going to start it just to make sure that everything is nice and aligned, just like we did with the yellow bolt back here, because those two bolts are the hold down bolts for the crossover pipe that goes from the forward accumulator housing to the pump. Alright, now the temperature switch has a little tab that goes into that hole. Alright, 8 foot-pounds. Double check all of them. Just make sure we didn't miss one. Lock up solenoid. Alright, we got them all. Now, if you watch part 1, you had a pan bolt here, and then they had a 4R70W bolt on the pan. So we're going to swap locations. So we're here, I have it in park. I'd just like to set them in neutral, all of them. This one's not fussy, I mean, but these are. Plug in our, there we go. Let's plug our pressure switch. Plug our temperature switch. Let's take this bolt out. Let's remove it. This one too. Let's get the crossover pipe. I usually get a flat screwdriver and just help it down like this. Same on this end. I'm gonna have to go out a little bit on this one. This side, kind of like there we go. Okay, we are down. The hold down bracket and the bolt. Hold down bracket and the bolt. Same application. 8 foot-pounds. Oh, turn it off. 8 foot-pounds. All right. So there we have it. Servo install, air checks, valve body torque to 8 foot-pounds. The pump was bolt 18 foot-pounds on the pump bolts, and when you bolt both halves together, it's 18 foot-pounds. I did not show the 2 bolts for the parking rod, and this one, I mean, they're not fuzzy, but the rest of them are. Now the filters for some reason are a little bit kind of hard to the filters that we get nowadays, the seal, it's kind of hard to get in there. And I already pre-lubed the hole. We're going to lube up the filter itself. So let's see, are we missing anything? We got our throttle cam assembly installed right. We have our lockup solenoid, new O-ring, all the valve body bolts torqued to 8 foot-pounds. Oh, and I didn't mention the valve body gaskets. See the V right here? That goes on the valve body side of it, and the C goes on the case side, and the spacer plate goes in between. Now these are extra. These are for the early models. As you see, it has no holes here, and I forgot to mention that. And this valve body has the holes added for the auxiliary valve body, or the forward accumulator body. All right, so here we go. Sometimes what I do, I go all the way this way to get it all the way down. There we go. It is all the way down. All right, I'm going to do a little bit of cleaning over here on the surface, and we installed our pan gasket and install our pan. Be right back. All right, guys, now that we have everything nice and torqued and clean, and cleaned the surface for it was just like it was not even gasket material. It was like that white stuff, like when you get what aluminum gets when it gets wet. The pan is going to be springy like this because it's on the filter. Now let's go ahead and install all of the pump bolts. And believe it or not, they do get torqued as well to 9 foot-pounds. 9 foot-pounds. $700 R4 full rebuild video part 2. And some of you guys stuck around this long. It is kind of long, trying to explain everything in different positions and scenarios. Everything air checks perfect, so we're not going to have any issues with this transmission. I'm having second thoughts on taking the governor gear out because he might break on us, and since he's on back order, it's not available. 2 of my vendors, they don't have it. Why not? I do not know. So we're just going to put some lubricant on it. Blow it really, really good. It's always a good idea to put a new gear anyways on it. And I always do, just to get the valve out and get it cleaned up. $18, 8 pounds, 80 inch-pounds. All right, let's drop this down to 8 pounds. 9 pounds. 9 pounds. There we go. 9 pounds. Last one. There we go. Just go around it. Make sure that I didn't miss one. And it's a quart gasket, so it's going to loosen up a little bit. That's why you want to go a second time. And we're good. We are good. Now the only thing left is our governor. And on video 1 I show you how to check the governor. See the valve right there? It's free. It's completely free. All I gotta do is just, I mean, it looks fairly clean. I just gotta clean it real good, lube it up, blow it out. You know, a lot of compressed air. If there's anything hidden in there, the compressed air is going to get rid of it. The gear looks like it would handle me taking it out with no issues, but I don't want to have that surprise and break it and then not have a gear for it. All right, guys. Well, let me do this right quick, and then we'll get back to installing it. Change the shift lever seal as well. I have a tool for it. I'll show you how it's done. And the extension housing, I'm not going to install it because I still need to get the piece that goes there that seals the yoke. This one here, in video 1, I show you that it's cracked right there. So I need to get one of these. I need to get one of those. And let's get cracking. Let me go ahead and clean this out right quick, and then we'll install it. All right, guys. So here is our governor. Our governor. He goes in this hole right here. Here's our governor cap. I know I got you guys zoomed in a lot, but let's see here. Governor cover. Already have a new seal for it. It goes in this location. Get it as far as you can. Get a big punch like this, and I'm in the way. I'm always in awkward positions here. Go all the way around. Make sure you're bottomed out. It's pressed in. That's the way it goes. There we go. Outer done. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Oh, yeah. The shift lever seal. Hold on. Okay, so this is my tool. This is an extractor tool. And this is the installer. You can always use a socket. So let's remove the bolt from it first with the 5/8 or a 16 millimeter. You're gonna thread it in the seal. Thread it in there. Get your bolt. And with the 9/16, get it out. Actually, this one takes this is you have a short shaft. This one takes an adapter. Where did I misplaced that adapter. Anyways, let's grab it with some pliers. Adapter's supposed to be with it. And get it out. There we go. So you got it out. Blow some air, get all the debris and everything out of there. Just like that. Let's get the new seal. The new seal. Put a little bit of assembly lube in it. So I got a little bit of assembly lube on the seal itself. Kind of twist it a little bit to go over that little bump. There we go. It went over that little bump. We get the installer tool, set it over the seal. There we go. Now we are truly done with this 700 R4 transmission.